much you figure? We couldn't be the luckiest chumps on the face of the earth, could we?
You feel lucky?
No, I don't.
Well, I hate to tell you this, Stig, but I got more bad news.
Take that hand away nice and slow, Bobby.
Okay.
You know I really like you, right?
I like you too. Shit. Oh!
The story opens with Bobby riding in a car alongside his partner, Stigman, before the two separate and head to different locations. Bobby enters a nearby bank, while Stigman positions himself inside a cafe directly across the street. Their movements are calculated, as they are carefully surveying the bank in preparation for a robbery involving money connected to a drug dealer. Inside the bank, Bobby observes the interior layout and security procedures, while Stigman watches from outside to make sure nothing goes wrong. After Bobby exits the bank, he meets back up with Stigman and explains that the security is poorly organized and that stealing from the bank would be easy. To demonstrate how vulnerable the setup is, they deliberately start a fire inside the cafe, drawing security personnel away and proving how simple it would be to pull off the robbery. The film then jumps back 1 week earlier. Bobby and Stigman are shown traveling to Sonora, Mexico, where they meet an older man named Greco, a major figure who controls a powerful drug operation. During the meeting, Bobby brings up a fake passport Greco had previously arranged to purchase. Greco attempts to pay Bobby in cash, but Bobby refuses the money, reminding him that their agreement required payment in cocaine instead. Bobby returns the cash and demands that Greco complete the deal properly by providing the drugs he requested. Once the exchange is settled, Bobby and Stigman leave Greco's residence and head back toward the city. As they attempt to cross the Mexican border, they are suddenly stopped by authorities and taken into custody after failing to produce valid identification. The two are separated and questioned in different rooms. Bobby is interrogated by a senior DEA agent named Jessup, while Stigman is questioned by a DEA agent named Debbie. It is revealed that Bobby is secretly working as part of an undercover DEA operation, and Agent Jessup has tasked him with bringing down Greco and dismantling his drug cartel. Stigman, however, has no idea that Bobby is a federal agent, largely because Bobby has not yet succeeded in arresting Greco. Frustrated but still willing to give him a chance, Jessup grants Bobby an additional 2 weeks to complete the mission. Once Bobby and Stigman are released from custody, Bobby visits Stigman at his home and proposes a risky plan to steal Greco's money directly from the bank where it is stored. Without much hesitation, Stigman agrees to go through with the robbery. The following day, the two travel to Greco's residence to observe his movements and monitor his operation. While watching the house, they notice one of Greco's men leaving with a suitcase. Suspecting that the case contains large sums of cash being transported to the bank, Bobby and Stigman immediately follow the vehicle, believing it will lead them straight to the money they intend to steal. On the night before the robbery, Bobby checks into a hotel with Debbie, where the two spend the evening together. During their time alone, Bobby confides in her about the bank robbery he and Stigman are planning to execute the next day. At the same time, Stigman heads to a hidden location to meet with a Marine captain named Quinn. It is revealed that Stigman is also working undercover, serving as a military police officer assigned to steal Greco's drug money. Quinn supplies Stigman with weapons, explosives, and all the gear necessary for the robbery. Before they separate, Quinn gives Stigman a chilling final order: to kill Bobby once the heist is complete. The following day, Bobby and Stigman put their plan into action. Wearing masks, the two walk into the bank and immediately pull out their weapons, aiming them at everyone inside, including the guards and employees. They order everyone to get down on the floor as panic spreads through the building. With the area secured, Stigman heads straight for the vault and uses explosives to destroy every lock on the money compartments. Once the vault is open, he quickly gathers the cash and carries it out to the getaway vehicle waiting outside. After loading all the stolen money into the car, the two make a clean escape from the bank. They drive out into the desert and stop to inspect the money they've stolen. Tension immediately rises as both men suddenly turn their guns on each other. Stigman reacts first, firing multiple shots at Bobby and leaving him collapsed on the ground. While checking Bobby, Stigman notices a badge in his hand and realizes that Bobby is actually a DEA agent. Without hesitation, Stigman abandons Bobby and drives off into the desert with the stolen cash. Elsewhere, a CIA agent arrives at the bank shortly after the robbery. During this visit, it is revealed that a portion of the money taken from the bank was secretly being used by the CIA, making the robbery far more complicated than it initially appeared. Stigman delivers the stolen money to the military police headquarters, where he hands it over to Captain Quinn. After counting the cash, they confirm that the robbery yielded a massive total of $43 million. When Stigman claims that Bobby is dead, Quinn refuses to take his word for it and insists on seeing proof with his own eyes. Doubting Stigman's loyalty, Quinn gathers his men and rushes out to the desert where Bobby was supposedly killed. Unknown to them, Bobby survived the shooting, suffering only a gunshot wound to his stomach. Despite his injuries, he manages to escape the desert by stealing an off-road vehicle from two unsuspecting passers-by. When Quinn and his men arrive at the location, they find no trace of Bobby. Realizing he may have been deceived, Quinn turns on Stigman and orders his men to kill him. Stigman reacts quickly and fights back, narrowly surviving a brutal ambush. A short but intense gunfight erupts and Stigman manages to escape before Quinn's forces can finish him off. Still badly wounded, Bobby seeks help at a veterinary clinic where he convinces one of the vets to treat and stitch up the bullet wound in his abdomen. Later that evening, Bobby reunites with Debbie and asks for her help in uncovering Stigman's true identity. His goal is to track Stigman down and recover the money taken during the bank robbery. At the same time, a CIA agent begins searching for Bobby after reports surface about a stolen off-road vehicle. The agent traces Bobby's movements to the veterinary clinic and questions the vet who treated him, but the vet has no information about where Bobby went afterward. That night, Bobby heads to Stigman's home, hoping to confront him and finally learn who he really is. Unbeknownst to Bobby, Stigman is not inside the house. He is hiding in the neighboring apartment to avoid being found by Quinn and his men. Bobby eventually locates Stigman and demands answers about the stolen money. As they speak, Quinn and his soldiers arrive at the residence. Instead of turning Bobby in, Stigman unexpectedly helps him, warning him that Quinn is closing in. He urges Bobby to escape before he is spotted and assists him by taking out Quinn's men one at a time using a powerful long-range weapon. A fierce firefight breaks out between Bobby, Stigman, and Quinn's forces. Amid the chaos, Bobby manages to escape by detonating explosives and destroying the building. Meanwhile, CIA agents confront Jessup and threaten to expose Bobby's involvement in the bank robbery. At that exact moment, Bobby arrives at Jessup's home. Using the opportunity to their advantage, the CIA agents murder Jessup and quickly capture Bobby, framing him for the killing. Once in CIA custody, Bobby is immediately questioned about the location of the money stolen during the bank robbery. Bobby insists that he has no idea where the cash is. The CIA agent responds by threatening to pin Jessup's murder on him and ensure he spends the rest of his life in prison. The agent offers Bobby a way out. If he helps recover the stolen money, the CIA will cover up the truth about Jessup's death. Furious but trapped, Bobby realizes he has no alternative and reluctantly agrees to cooperate. The following day, Bobby goes to Greco's residence in an attempt to locate the missing money and finally make the arrest. Just as he is about to take Greco into custody, Stigman suddenly shows up and shoves Bobby into the trunk of his car. Taking advantage of the distraction caused by gunfire from Greco's men, Stigman manages to escape with Greco. Bobby quickly recovers and pursues Stigman into the desert, repeatedly crashing into his vehicle. Eventually, Stigman forces Bobby off the road and the two end up fighting on the ground. Their confrontation doesn't last long, as both men decide to stop fighting and come clean about who they really are, revealing their true identities and secret missions to one another. During their confrontation, Bobby learns that Stigman is actually an undercover Marine military police officer, while Stigman finally realizes that Bobby has been working as a DEA agent all along. As they exchange the truth, it becomes clear that both men have been pursuing the same objective, taking down Greco and recovering the money stolen during the bank robbery. With their secrets exposed and their goals aligned, they decide to put aside their differences and work together. Later that evening, Bobby and Stigman force Greco to Debbie's garage, where they interrogate him about the whereabouts of the missing money. Debbie soon arrives and is shocked to find Bobby, Stigman, and Greco together in her home. She is furious with Bobby for dragging Greco into her life, knowing that doing so puts all of them in serious danger. Their situation quickly spirals out of control when Greco's men locate them and launch an attack on the house. Realizing they are badly outnumbered, Bobby and Stigman are forced to let Greco go in order to escape. The three attempt to flee in a vehicle, but Greco's men chase them down and slam into their car. The impact sends the vehicle flipping, knocking them unconscious. When Bobby and Stigman regain consciousness, they discover that Debbie has vanished from the car. Bobby and Stigman are captured and taken to Greco's estate in Mexico, where they are strung upside down as punishment. Enraged by their earlier actions, Greco personally subjects them to brutal torture, even using a raging bull to terrorize and injure them in retaliation for kidnapping him the previous day. The situation appears hopeless until Bobby suddenly comes up with a desperate plan. Bobby tells Greco that they can return every dollar stolen from the bank robbery. In reality, neither Bobby nor Stigman has any idea where the money is, but they pretend they do in order to save themselves. Greco, tempted by the promise of getting his money back, agrees to let them live. He gives them exactly 24 hours to recover the stolen funds. Before releasing them, Greco delivers a final threat. If the money is not returned by that night, Debbie will be killed without hesitation. As they regroup and plan their next move, Stigman suggests that the stolen money is likely being held at Captain Quinn's naval military base. The following day, before heading to the headquarters, Bobby and Stigman gear up using weapons and equipment provided by one of Stigman's former contacts. Once fully armed, the two head directly to the naval facility with the intention of reclaiming the stolen cash. Inside the base, they split up. Stigman makes his way into the Admiral's office, where he reports Quinn's illegal activities and involvement in criminal operations. Meanwhile, Bobby sneaks into Quinn's private office, prepared to take the money by force if necessary. After listening to Stigman's accusations, the Admiral chooses not to act, worried that exposing the scandal would damage the reputation of the Navy. Instead, he orders his men to escort Stigman out of the building. At the same time, Bobby confronts Quinn at gunpoint and demands that he open the safe. When Quinn complies, they discover that the safe is completely empty. Quinn then admits that the money is gone and reveals that Debbie took it, confessing that the two of them had been working together all along to steal the cash. When Quinn's men burst in and catch Bobby holding him at gunpoint, Bobby is forced to flee before he can be captured. Thinking quickly, he finds a Marine uniform and disguises himself as a member of the military to move freely through the base. To complete his escape, Bobby causes an explosion that throws the facility into chaos, allowing him to slip past security and make it out undetected. Later that night, as Bobby heads toward Debbie's place, he receives a devastating call from Greco. Greco informs him that the deadline has passed and that Debbie has already been killed as punishment for failing to return the money. Furious and devastated, Bobby meets back up with Stigman to plan one final move against Greco. Before confronting him, Bobby and Stigman go to Quinn's hotel room, where they discover the stolen money hidden beneath Debbie's bed. Bobby immediately contacts the CIA, offering to return the money in exchange for clearing his name and removing all blame for Jessup's murder. The following day, Stigman arranges a meeting with Greco and promises to return the stolen money. When Greco arrives with his men, the situation becomes even more dangerous as Quinn suddenly shows up and demands half of the $40 million. This was exactly what Stigman had planned. He deliberately sets the two criminals against each other, hoping the tension will erupt into violence. As Greco and Quinn argue over the money, CIA agents descend on the scene with helicopters and armed troops, moving in to reclaim the stolen cash. Moments later, Bobby arrives driving a vehicle filled with the money and hands the keys over to the CIA before walking away alongside Stigman. Just when it appears the situation is over, Bobby and Stigman trigger an explosion, destroying the car and opening fire on Greco, Quinn, and the CIA agents. Their true plan is revealed. They intended to force Greco, Quinn, and the CIA into a chaotic showdown, giving themselves the chance to slip away unnoticed. Despite their plan, Quinn and a CIA agent manage to track Bobby and Stigman down. In a tense standoff, the CIA agent aims his weapon at Bobby while Quinn holds Stigman at gunpoint, with both men completely surrounded. Thinking quickly and working together, Bobby and Stigman manage to reverse the situation, killing both Quinn and the CIA agent before they can react. They then finish off Greco, who was already dying from his wounds. With all their enemies eliminated, Bobby and Stigman escape the scene and walk away alive, having survived betrayal, deception, and chaos. In the final moments of the film, Stigman suggests pulling off another bank robbery together, but Bobby turns down the idea, revealing that he still has some of the money left from their previous heist. The story ultimately reinforces the idea that greed and the misuse of authority lead only to destruction, betrayal, and loss. And that is how it ended. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this, and you can find this movie in the description below or our comment section. Thanks for watching.